All right, welcome back. Our GMC Sierra tweet of the night comes from someone named Bob Pompeani, who said, in a season of bad losses, this is one of the worst. Seattle gets 3 unanswered third period goals to beat the Penguins 4-2. Jari surrendered 3 on 17. It was actually 3 on 13 before they got 4 more. Penguins now go on the road for 7 straight. And now, 7 straight road games, you know, Chris, they have had some good road trips over the years that have kind of cemented the team or bonded the team. I have no idea what this one's going to bring, but it better bring about 10 points minimum.
The only thing that seems like it'll be cemented is their feet, like as in they're skating in cement by the end of this thing because they just look listless. They need one of like their all-time road trips, really. They need something like you said, what, 10 points, 5-2, 6-1, something like that. If it doesn't work out for Jari, may I suggest that he try out as Steelers quarterback? I hear they're looking for somebody at the position, and they don't have anybody other than Skylar Thompson under contract. Maybe Tristan Jari's real calling was to play NFL football.
Yeah, I don't know. All I know is a report tonight by Jennifer Barrasso at our television station about Evgeni Malkin's home being burglarized over the weekend. We'll have more on that at 11 o'clock on KDKA. And, you know, Chris, we've heard a lot about these vandalisms all across the country to sports stars. I didn't think it would be hitting home here, but apparently that happened over the weekend. I'm not sure any more details on that. Jennifer will have more at 11 o'clock. Just your thoughts on that, because it seems to hit a lot of big-name stars.
The only thing I've heard that makes sense is if you're somebody who's worth that much money, it seems like the thing you've got to do is put your house in the name of like a holding company that has no, you know, basically not a front, but you know what I mean, like some sort of company that has no direct tie to you or no obvious thing, like so far as don't name it 71 Geno Industries or something or Incorporated, but put your house in the name of something that doesn't tip people off who can do a public record search that it's your house. That seems like one of those things you might want to tell any athlete worth tens of millions of dollars that they might want to consider doing, because as serious as this is, it feels like it's going to keep happening. Joe Burrow, Malkin, there have been a couple other ones, obviously. Mahomes, yeah, I mean, so they're clearly targeting people who have a lot of money and whose schedules are known to the public, and it's scary if the family is actually home when the burglars think they won't be home. Then you have the potential for something really ugly to happen.
Well, the weird thing about this, they had a home game that day, and he didn't play in it, but I mean, they were home, they weren't on the road. I don't know. More coming up at 11 o'clock on KDK. So let's get right to the phones, and we'll delve more into these other topics here, beginning with our #1 Cochrane Go One Better caller of the night, and that would be Tony in Latrobe. Tony, go ahead, you're up first.
Oh, hello, first-time caller, love the show. Hello,
Thanks.
Chris and Bob.
Hey.
But my first thing I want to talk about is I think the Steelers have already shown their hands on the quarterback situation by signing Skylar Thompson because he's very similar to Justin Fields, and I think they're going to want to go, you know, that way they don't have to switch offenses if you have to bring another quarterback in. And about the Pickens, I think they need to trade him, and even if they can only get a second-round pick, maybe trade him and Broderick Jones. Get second-round picks, get like a nose tackle, which they haven't had in a long time, like Casey Hampton, like a Deion Walker, and a Caleb Johnson. And then you still have their first and third round, their own first and second-round picks where you can pick up a wide receiver.
First, let's talk about the tackles. Very disappointing. Dan Moore and Broderick Jones, according to some of the metrics out there, had the worst 2 numbers in terms of sacks allowed. And, boy, I was kind of bullish on Broderick Jones, and maybe switching to left tackle when Moore leaves and Fatano comes back will help him, but they got to get better performances there. Skylar Thompson is Skylar Thompson. I still think Justin Fields probably, Chris, is their best answer moving forward. It'll be cheaper. There's more, I think, to harvest there. And for me, I don't want to invest in 37-year-old Russell Wilson, all due respect.
In what way is Skylar Thompson similar to Justin Fields other than they both went to colleges in the United States and they play quarterback? I mean, Justin Fields is not quite one of one athletically, but he's close. Skylar Thompson's just a guy. He's a Kyle Allen replacement. I don't think they have a good option. I thought Fields was solid in the run that he got, but there's a lot of people that seem to think there's a lot more meat on that bone for him as a passer. I don't see it. All the people who break down film said they saw a lot of the same problems that plagued him in Chicago as the season wore on for the Steelers, that he just isn't seeing the coverages and finding the open man and getting through his progressions quickly enough. Wilson's not the answer. I'll paint a more grim picture. I think they are just back to square one at that position, and the only reason people are saying give Fields a full year and see what he can do is because he's young. As for the tackles, I certainly hope that playing Broderick Jones finally at the position that he was actually drafted to play will help him. Hopefully he is fully healthy. I suspect that whatever elbow injury he had on the first day of camp probably lingered to some degree. And what I don't really want to hear ever again is all this positivity towards Dan Moore that was getting thrown his way early in the season because he completely nosedived. This idea that he was so solid and you can't ask for Broderick Jones to play left tackle because Dan Moore's actually been pretty good. He might have been pretty good for about 4 games, and then he reverted back to being Dan Moore, which is to say the worst left tackle in the NFL.
You know, I thought, looking back now, and I thought at the time, too, when Ben Roethlisberger, you knew was coming to an end in terms of his age. You had to have some sort of succession plan, and you can say to me that it's Mason Rudolph, but you know, looking back, and sometimes you start looking at these drafts, you wonder what's going on. They took, I believe it was Claypool over Jalen Hurts.
Jalen Hurts.
Yeah, and if you don't make that play, fine, but there should have been some plan in advance of this happening, just in case, whenever it does happen, you at least have something moving forward. As it turned out, they didn't, and then they go for Trubisky, and then Rudolph, and then they take Pickett. That doesn't work. They scrap the entire room. They do it this year. They may have to scrap the entire room again. This is a position, Chris, you can keep chasing for a long time if you don't get it right, or at least don't anticipate it happening.
They showed total organizational fealty to Roethlisberger towards the end of his career when no player does, but he didn't either, deserve that kind of deferential treatment. They were mindful of his feelings and how sensitive he might be to the idea that he would have his replacement drafted. He blanched at the idea of them picking Mason Rudolph. I know that the Packers just got bounced, but they had a particularly prickly star quarterback who, frankly, has a better career resume than Ben and had one at the time that was better. They drafted Jordan Love with Aaron Rodgers around there. They stuck to their guns. Aaron Rodgers won another MVP award. Then they finally parted ways, and they are at least set with Jordan Love for the next 10 years or so because they had the guts to actually act boldly. And the Steelers, very obviously, and this should be underlined and put in bold, they were too loyal to a quarterback who was way past his prime. They then reached for a local quarterback, and now they are going to reap a lot of bad times, I think, because of those major mistakes.
And even prior to that, they did it with Rodgers as the guy who was taken when Favre was still playing at a pretty good level. So they did it twice. Let's go to the lines. We got Bill in Dormont. Hey, Bill, what's up? Hello, Bill.
Hi, thanks for taking my call,
Sure.
Chris and Bob. Quick question. I agree with the assessment of Justin Wilson being quarterback and bringing him back. I wanted to get you guys' take on them getting a quarterback coach.
Well, they have one. His name's Tom Arth.
His name's Tom Arth.
Yeah.
Tom Arth? Okay. Are they really developing him, like, to read defenses so they can really get him a game up on how to really read
I think it's an ongoing process, Bill. I still think, again, I think there's upside there. Hopefully Tom Arth can work with him if they keep him around, and I think it's a cheaper way to go for now. And if you should hit on him, if he takes a step forward, you might say, okay, now we have our guy. You know you're going to hit a wall with Wilson, Chris. At some point, that's going to end if you should bring him back, and I don't see him signing a 1-year contract.
I don't want Wilson back. It was exciting briefly at the start of his tenure when he actually looked like he was going to give them a higher ceiling. It even felt like it reached its high water mark. It obviously was its high water mark the first time around against Cincy, but you thought, okay, maybe there's more here. He cratered down the stretch. He's going to be 37 years old. He's 3 days out from the end of this season, and he's already posting cheesy workout videos. No thank you. And if it was as easy, honestly, to the caller just now, I don't mean this to sound rude because I really don't. If it was as easy as, well, get a quarterback coach and have him work with the guy, and then 1, 2, 3, if you coach a guy up, he's just going to be good, then every team in the league would have a good to great quarterback. And the fact of the matter is, some guys are what they are. And as much as I want to believe that Fields can unearth something else in there as an NFL passer, so far through 45 starts, we've gotten no indication that that's actually the case.
Yeah, I will say, though, he's had some big passing games in Chicago. There's been too many coordinating changes and things. I just think this was a good year for him to sort of reset, and let's see what he can do. I'd rather go in that direction. We got to take a break. That's the direction we're headed right now. Hey, John. Hey, Jim on the lines. We'll try to get to you next right here on the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call.
Hey, Bob, how you doing?
What's up?
Hey, Bob. Hey, they should get rid of Tomlin. It's time for him to go.
All right, that's not going to happen. We've wasted a lot of time talking about it. You can have the opinions. A lot of people do. John in Oakland, real quick.
I think it's the front line. They don't block good and don't give our quarterback enough time to throw the ball.
Chris, the line it regressed, didn't it?
Yeah, I think, does Pat Meyer have another year? I don't mean this to, I actually do mean this to sound a little bit snippy. Does Pat Meyer have another year left on his contract? Because if he does, he'll be back. No, I'm serious. I mean, that's been their MO.
No,
I don't even
heard
think that's
him
unfair
that
to
today.
say.
Yeah, he said contracts, guys without contracts, and that doesn't bode well.
So if Pat Meyer is still under contract next year, he'll be back. If he's not, he won't be. I mean, that shouldn't be the priority, but it is. That's how they operate with these kinds of things, and that's part of the problem here, Bob.
All right, Chris, are you back in tomorrow?
I am. It'll be a classic Mueller Tuesday, Wednesday, and a pony Thursday, Bob. We'll run this thing back
Shuffle
again.
the deck. All right, we're
Let's
out
talk
of time.
TGL tomorrow.
Yeah, that's right. It was on tonight. I didn't watch much. You have to fill me in. Back tomorrow at 10:35. Good night.